This is List Attack. The final List Attack for a while. I'm Woody.
I'm Kelson.
And this is the indie game of the year of the second half of 2014 that we played. Not necessarily coming out in 2014. Just we played. There's a video of it.
Exactly. There's evidence. It's documented. Okay.
Yeah.
This will hold up in court, I'm pretty sure.
All these games kind of bring something a little bit different to the table.
Yeah, it is a fairly disparate list.
Yeah.
A variety of different things, different elements that we just thought like really were exemplary of what we like in games in totality.
Some of them have been nominated for other stuff. Some of them have won other stuff already.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, we're going to start the list off with Roguelite. Roguelite is, pretty accurately, a really quick roguelike kind of platformer exploration game with lanterns and everything. It's a really creative concept. It looks fantastic. It's one of those bite-sized packages that you don't need to put a ton of time into this to have fun, but it's still got the progression you want to have. And it's got these great Game Boy aesthetics to all of its lighting and its color scheme and everything. And overall, it was probably just one of the funnest games that we've played, and it's one of the ones I've come back to the most after finishing it.
And next, we have the game 8 Moves. Now, this was a horror game that was inspired by a short story about a boy who is sort of haunted by demons at night. And the game managed to do something really great, which is taking a property that already existed and then expanding upon it. And not just by, literally putting the text on the screen. It took the ideas and the themes and built upon it and had all these really awesome and unique atmospheric horror elements that really came together and created this nice, hour and a half long experience that really stuck with us.
Our next nominee is Titan Souls. This is an almost kind of meditative boss fighting experience. This nice sort of calm atmosphere punctuated with these really intense one-hit kill boss fights where it's one hit to kill them and it's one hit to kill you. And apparently it's popular enough that it is now getting a huge mainstream release on PS4 as one of their big kind of hyped up indie games. And this was a Ludum Dare entry. It was really impressive for a Ludum Dare entry. It was also the first game we did on this, and I still think it's one of the best ones.
And next we have Space Goblin in a Land of Jello. Now, this is probably one of our least heralded games, ultimately, that made it to our Game of the Year list, but it's this awesome, combination of a shmup with a sort of action upgrading, ramping gameplay style, where you move from screen to screen, collecting different things. It has a humorous plot, and it's all done within 10 minutes. Now, you'll probably have to replay it several times in order to master it to the point of completing the game, but it manages to just have this awesome curve to it, and it just blew us away, ultimately. It just was all you want in gaming in a nice 10-minute chunk.
Our final nominee is Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2. These games do something unique, which is really hard to do, and that's they create a horror universe that is interesting and fun, and despite the number of games released so far, has not been beaten to death yet. We might get close to there if we get some more games coming out of Five Nights at Freddy's in the next few months.
Indeed.
But as of right now, they've managed to create these really iconic characters. And I think that's what sticks out for me the most of this. Because we have not seen some iconic horror characters come out of gaming in a long time, except for these guys. And, this is a game where there might be jump scares, and, you can kind of debate how cheap that is or not, but these are the best done jump scares possibly ever. And the winner for Game of the Year of Indie Attack in 2014, the second half of the year, the games we actually played and did videos on, not just any game released, and, indie games. Yeah.
Asterisk, asterisk.
Asterisk, asterisk, punctuation mark.
Space Goblin in a Land of Jello.
So, this was a hard pick to choose between all the games we've done because they're so different from each other that it's hard to pick out what features are important to talk about. Because, roguelite, really fun RPG.
Yeah.
Really great, solid game as an RPG goes. How do you compare that to something like Virus Master? Or
Sure.
Petrichor?
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know, something that it's just so different. So, for me, I kind of took an approach of looking at it from a game design perspective of what is the best designed game that we played, and not necessarily my personal favorite per se.
Sure.
And I kept coming back to Space Goblin in a Land of Jello because, as you mentioned, this is it's a concise game, and in the 10 minutes this game lasts, you experience an entire 10-hour video game.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's all the design notes you want to have. There's risk reward to leveling up. There's actual character progression based on how you level up, and meaningful character progression too, because all the levels you put into different stats actually matter to beating the game. And they matter in different ways. You can be faster, you can be slower, you can have a spread shot, you can have a single shot.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, it's shocking when you see that grid first, and it's a pretty sizable, there's 5 tiers to every, and 6 or 7 different upgrade, and you're like, in 10 minutes, how am I possibly gonna do all of these things? And yet, once you get to a certain level and you've played it enough times, and it's so addictive that I wanted to get that perfect, completion of the game. So, 10 minutes, it was probably, I would say I probably played it for about 30, 40 minutes, until I finally was like, okay, I know the map now, I know where I'm going, and then boom, 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 get to the final boss, beat the final boss, and then it left me wanting more, that's the thing, it's like, it concisely, like you said, has all of the elements of gaming that you want. And yeah, I will say that this game, I would say it's probably, of all of the nominees that we presented, one of the least heralded, it's sort of an unknown.
Not a lot of buzz about this compared to a lot of the other stuff.
No, and I suppose it's the name, and there's probably some barriers up, but I think it's just it really is a representative of just this is 10 minutes of just
This is the
fun.
kind of thing you want out of an indie game.
Yes.
At least that I do. Where it's a unique experience, it's a fun experience, and compared to some other stuff, it realizes kind of the limitations that it has, which, you can't make a 10-hour game that is this fun as one person. It's impossible. So, instead, you say, okay, I'm going to make a 10-minute game, and it's going to be amazing.
Exactly.
And you wrap all of your design into that, and you wrap all of your, difficulty or progression into that, your enemy design, and it just works out so well in the end. So, Game of the Year, Space Goblin in a Land
of Jello.
Now, we do have honorable mentions.
We do!
And these are kind of games that they didn't get nominations, but we just really like them maybe for some more personal, biased reasons.
Right, exactly.
Acknowledge that a little bit.
We get our own little biased elements to the award
and
show.
for whatever reason they didn't get nominated, but I still want to give them a shout-out.
Exactly.
And for me, mine's going to be Joylancer. Which probably isn't a huge surprise if people have heard my ranting and raving about that game. I love the art style, I love the gameplay style, I love that I haven't seen something done like that in 2D. It's a nice, unique character action game. It's one of the only 2D games I've ever played that feels like character action game, and not just kind of a Castlevania style, kill monsters and walk right sort of a thing. No, it sets off an arena, you have to fight guys, you have throws, you have launchers, you have counter moves.
Yeah, it's not just Sonic either,
Yeah.
It's such an awesome game.
Yeah.
Because it hybridizes all that stuff.
And, ultimately, we only played the demo. I didn't play the full version. It's on early access.
Yet.
So, that's kind of that's why it didn't get, that's why it's not in the Game of the Year nomination.
Right,
So, but my bias wants me to nominate for my honorable mention.
I think we'll definitely follow up on Joylancer in the future when the full run,
full releases,
that's
not
one,
just early access.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because who knows? We'll yada yada. Well, mine is With Those We Love Alive from the interactive fiction competition from this past year. This is one of our the videos. Looking back, that's one of our longest discussions of any game. Was this video? This was a 15-minute discussion of just With Those We Love Alive, and I think it's because it was just I think it took us by surprise because it's you think of interactive fiction and maybe you have some ideas, and
you think it's dry.
You think it's dry at the very least, right?
Yeah, it's dry, it's difficult to get through.
And you think you kind of are okay, it's gonna be a crappier version of it's gonna be not a good game and maybe lesser storytelling. Well, let me tell you, that is not the case, because this is a game that is highly well written. This is a game that is extremely well written. It is this is a game that is very well written and has a sophisticated atmosphere that is developed from all, like, there's great music, there's the just subtle little details, the coloration of the screen, all those things that sort of add up to the experience being greater than just the reading. But the reading is awesome. The choices you make, all those weird things.
And,
yeah.
And I don't think there's been a game this evocative that I've played recently. And even I'm comparing this to some of the major releases I've played in this last year. You mentioned this game as being atmospheric. This game is very atmospheric and does a very good job at establishing that atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
it's better
than some major releases I have played in that regard.
This game does a better job of world building than some games that are, have AAA budgets, and literally build worlds. This game makes you, because it's not about just pretty looking things, it's about the feel, it's about the contours, the little creepy details that conspire to make a place, and that place is, in this, it is all visualized in your mind, but it feels just as satisfying and just as compelling, and as you said, evocative is a perfect word, as any game out there. So, that is my honorable mention.
So that's going to wrap up List Attack for a while?
Yes.
Now?
Perhaps for a year.
We may do List Attack at some other point if you want to list some things.
Yeah. Maybe there could be a half-year roundup. Who knows?
It came out a little later than we wanted it to because we've had some technical issues of hard drives dying
Yes.
and stuff like that, and files being lost.
Right. We've been maligned here at the Video Attack channel, but we're happy to be doing this because
we're glad it's out.
We're glad it's out. We're glad to just recognize, as again, it's like all these games are just perfect encapsulations of why we even do this, because all of them just made us happy at the end of the day, and just being able to talk about them with my friend Woody here is a joy, and I think I'm just looking forward to having, hundreds and hundreds of choices, as opposed to, 70 was so hard. Having, a full year's worth of, oh my god, I can't even think about it, but we'll get there.
And we're going to be back to doing our normal schedule next week with a much-anticipated Ludum Dare 31 week that happened back in December. All the judging for that is done. The verdicts in that have been reached for the Ludum Dare 31. We've played a lot of games. We're really liking what we're playing, and we're going to have that on Monday.
Tantalizing. Cool. Thanks, guys, for checking out List Attack. And we'll be coming in strong for 2015.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.